experience, the internet, the ICT interventions has removed physical barriers across the world. You don't have to come to Rwanda physically to explore opportunities. From the comfort of your one small room somewhere with a smartphone, you can do business with people thousands and thousands of kilometers away. We must explore intellectual property. And that is the way to go, more so for our young people, because in terms of assets, land, which used to be those years to be the greatest asset, especially in Africa, is no longer available. Our young people must invest in intellectual property. I want to give an example. In my country, we have a taxi called Uber. The young people who own that facility don't own a single car, and they don't own an office. They have just created a system. Using that system, they are able to pull as many cars belonging to different people, connect the owners of the cars, and those who want to use the cab system to go somewhere. And through the use of technology, money keeps on changing hands, and the company has grown to a very big level. I want to say that in terms of financial markets across the world, there are very many opportunities that our people across the world can continue to exploit. And as we move forward, we must also move away from the traditional way of agriculture and move away from rain-fed agriculture to irrigation because of the effects of climate change. So even as many countries are feeling the effects of the post-COVID challenges, there remains very many opportunities in the tech world, in finance, in international capital. And all we need to do is that with the advent of internet and the ICT options, we want to encourage our people across the globe to reach out. A conference like this one, a summit like this one, is a great opportunity for people to make inroads and get to know what opportunities exist outside their home countries. I'm sure, I have no doubt in my mind that before the end of this summit, some of the young people here who are suave in business matters have already made some connections and they have a new opportunity. So the real opportunity of dealing with the post-COVID challenges is using technology to reach out so that we can explore new opportunities outside the traditional available opportunities that have been put down by COVID-19. And therefore, the world is big, the stage is large. All we need to do is continuously engage. And I'm sure that with that engagement, having removed the physical barriers that people don't have to meet to explore opportunities, a lot of opportunities are available to help us put the world back to where it was before COVID-19. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Deputy President. I think that confirms the message that this generation resonates with, that technology helps you to work smart without necessarily having to work hard. Now we'd like to move on to Honourable Minister Mbabazi. Speaking of technology and opportunities, we have this amazing summit that this country has birthed. The question now is, after we have left and we've all flown back to our countries in a couple of days and we wait for the next one next year, what happens in between, and how do we manage to maximize the vision and mission of this summit to truly transform the continent?
Thank you very much, moderator, and welcome back home. The question you're asking is about the way forward, and I want to appreciate our leaders for being present and for the support throughout this journey, whether 10 years down the road and also 5 years of hosting Youth Connect. One of the main objectives was in threefold, I would say, and that will inform the next steps post the summit. The first one is to influence policies. What kind of policies do we have by having this platform, bringing together partners and also the youth themselves to influence policies that His Excellency, the Deputy President, was talking about, taking their rightful place? It is about policies. What kind of policies do we have in our countries? And so the policies is a major element. Besides being a document that we keep in a folder and you keep it in a shelf, it is a policy that should be implemented and put into place. And those policies are youth-friendly policies that are putting them at the forefront of the development agenda of our countries, but also having them participate fully. And having 30 countries, we follow up through the hub, the Youth Connect Africa hub, that is hosted in Rwanda, but coordinating 30 countries. We follow up and working with them what kind of policies and learn from each other. The best policy in the Republic of Kenya can be replicated in Rwanda, or the best policy in government of Rwanda that is implementing can be implemented in Zimbabwe or Liberia or any other African country where we're implementing and beyond. The second one is programs. Also, the policies influence programs that we have. And in these programs are youth-friendly programs, especially in skilling the young people with the relevant skills that they need. Also having opportunities of entrepreneurship skills and employability skills. But above all is the dialogue, the intergenerational dialogue. We have seen, Your Excellencies, your leaders, the leaders, your colleagues, taking it up. After this meeting, when they go back, they organize intergenerational dialogue, which is a platform that bridges the leaders and the young people. And they listen from them and they understand, and this dialogue helps them to influence the kind of policies. The third is to expand partners. We started in 2012 when we had only about 4 to 5 partners. Now we have more than 50 partners. And the same ecosystem that we have in Rwanda of the partners that we have that are influencing in the policy spheres of influence are the same that we are building at a country level. So the Youth Connect country chapter in a country that has launched it, we create that kind of ecosystem and network that supports young people so that we avoid duplication and wasting resources, but instead we create linkages and we have more economies of efforts by producing and doing much more. So post the summit, we follow up. We have many young innovators that are here that are also got awards. We have Youth Fellow, Youth Connect Fellow, of like-minded young people, a network of more than 100 young people that are influencing and change makers in their community. But also different components of Youth Connect are implemented at a country level. So when we meet at the summit, we listen from each other. What have you been doing and what else can I do? So when they go back, they also implement.
Thank you very much, Honourable Minister. So policies, programs and partners, like a triple P, you know. Mr. Tomorrow, I'll come to you now. And straight after that, I think it's important to talk about policies. Now, as UNDP, you go into all these countries and you do so much work there. But there is the issue of policies, that sometimes you go there with these ideas and as has been said, the dialogue happens. The youth are energized, they go back with passion. Deputy President talked about taking our rightful places at the table. But remember, there are some policies in some countries that don't allow us to take our place. We still have to wait to be given a place. So let's talk about the work UNDP does and maybe some of the challenges that you face where policies, especially programs as well, affect the productivity and the progression of these kinds of think tanks and the ideas that come out of this.
Thank you, Riveneko. Before I get into that, I must say, Your Excellencies, I'm inspired by your words today. I'm especially inspired, Your Excellency, by your view that Africa and Africans are no longer a people to whom things happen. We are no longer a people for whom things are done. My 23 months in this country have shown me that we are a people with whom things can be done. And our work with young people in this country has shown me that we are also a people who make things happen. So I'm very inspired by that. In terms of the policy work that we do, we are a partner. We as ourselves are not the government of Rwanda. We are a partner to the government of Rwanda. We are a partner to the people of Rwanda. Sometimes in their journeys to look at the world today and say, as you've said, there's a lot of trauma that's happening in the world. How do we make sense of it all? There's a cost of living crisis out there. There's a pandemic. There's everything. We are there to work with governments to think about how do we make sense of this? How do we deal with it? But not just thinking. We are also working with governments to show that we can do something about it. And we've worked, especially in this country, to look at areas where we can demonstrate that actually there's another way of looking at the world. We worked with the government of Kenya some years ago to look into Kenya's energy mix. And it was UNEP which worked with the government to drill the first gas well in Kenya. And right now, if you look at Kenya's energy mix, it's the pride of Africa. The United Nations was there to be a partner. But we also understand that just having a pilot there is not enough. We work with governments to take things to scale. We look for partners. We look for the African Development Bank over there. We look for youth. We look for everyone in this house, the education sector. I was talking to my brother from Africa Leadership University. We work with them to make sure that things get done.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gomera. Thank you. So that has warmed up our stage, I hope, and I'm hoping that you're all ready to engage with our panelists this afternoon, and we'll take our first set of questions now. If you are ready, we are ready. I'm sure there's a roving microphone that will come to you. If you just raise your hand, and we will be able to take your question. And for the purpose of everyone, just introduce yourself, right? Where you're from, and what you represent here today, and then you can go ahead with your question. So let us open the floor. Ladies and gentlemen, comrades and friends, the floor is yours. Okay, I see a series of hands. Just want to check that our microphone is ready. Okay, we can start in this corner here. Gentleman in the white. Thank you.
Thank you very much. My name is Nanaji Maiprempe from Ghana, the CEO of Grow For Me. And first of all, I want to commend Rwanda for conducting the first trade on AFTA, and I think it's a very exceptional achievement. However, I'd like to ask a specific question concerning agriculture and AFTA. What are our governments doing to put agriculture at the forefront of AFTA, knowing that cross-border trade is already happening and we can see much more massive trade if agriculture becomes a critical component of AFTA? Thank you.
Thank you very much. What we can do is we can take our first round of questions, maybe 3 at a time, and then come back to the panel. I think maybe that might be a good way to do it. Our next hand, we can come here. Where's the microphone? Okay, all right, you may go ahead. Yeah. Where's the microphone? There you go. Yeah. You can give him.
Okay. Good morning, Your Excellency. Thank you. I am Abdul Karim Abdul I come from a great and wonderful country in West Africa. I come from Niger, and I congratulate you for this summit, this initiative. I will speak in my language, French. Donc, Monsieur le Président, comme vous l'avez dit, nous ne sommes pas un continent de problèmes. Il est vrai que nous avons les crises sécuritaires au Sahel, dans le bassin du Congo, nous avons connu Ebola, la Covid-19, bref, il y a tous ces problèmes. Mais dans le même temps, on constate qu'on a de merveilleuses opportunités. Je vous invite tous à visiter la magnifique ville d'Agadez dans le nord du pays, de mon pays, ou bien le plateau de Gizeh en Égypte. Nous avons ce magnifique pays de 1000 collines. Ils ont fait de cette géographie accidentée un atout dans l'Afrique du Sud. Et je comprends que tout ça, c'est de belles opportunités pour nous permettre de créer de la richesse, de faire une économie très forte. Mais ma question, c'est que généralement, lorsqu'on parle de tout cela, l'on oublie une partie importante des jeunes, surtout les jeunes de loin les plus discriminés. Je parle principalement de 3 catégories. Les jeunes femmes dans les zones rurales, elles sont très souvent oubliées, elles sont sous-représentées. Je parle aussi de l'Afrique parce que nous ne voulons pas seulement changer l'Afrique. Nous sommes quand même le berceau de l'humanité, nous sommes le pays de toutes les valeurs, le continent de toutes les valeurs et nous voulons changer carrément le monde, mais nous ne pouvons pas le faire si tout le monde n'est pas pris en compte. Comment on fait ça? Merci.
All right, thank you very much. We're going to take one more question from this side, then I'll come over to that side of the room. Lady with the colorful blouse, thank you.
Good morning. Good afternoon, everyone. I know this is a very useful room, so I want to just do something very quick. Viva Youth, viva! Viva Youth, viva!
Viva!
My name is Ruth K. Kangwandlovu, and I am coming from the beautiful country called Zambia. Over 60% of Africa's population is the vibrant youth between the ages of 15 to 35. Often we've been viewed as beneficiaries and the future leaders of tomorrow, and less of stakeholders or the partners now. My question, Your Excellencies, is how can we foster for intergenerational dialogue and a co-leadership which invests in the young people now to create synergies to bring forth the Africa we want? How can we begin to build trust between institutions and young people, as well as create shaped successes of our in Africa? I end off by bringing out a quote that Namibia's First Lady, Ma'am Gengos, once said. She stated that the only logical way to manage generational transition is to intentionally groom suitable successors to ensure a smooth transition. So how can we foster for this dialogue and co-leadership? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, we'll close that round now and allow for our panel to respond. And I think we'll start with the first question. President Kagame, maybe you can take this one, because again, at the General Assembly, on this issue of agriculture that was asked by the gentleman, you talked about preventing cross-border taxes, for example, and when you talked about the peace and stability even in the DRC. So maybe you can take on that one about agriculture and why there's so much emphasis on an agro-economy as an African state.
I think increasingly there is light being shed on the importance of agriculture, which in the past had been ignored, but for reasons you can't easily understand, because whatever we are doing here, whatever we are saying, agriculture is a source of what enables us to walk, to work, to do everything we do, because it's a source of food. We need that. So if anyone was imagining agriculture is not important, that was a big mistake. But I think every day there is a realization of its importance. But we have also been helped by the fact that agriculture has had visibility in terms of that not being a source of our livelihoods in terms of food, but also as a big sector of business. It's not just food that we eat or we grow culture, grow crops, and we have different sources of what to eat, whether it is livestock, it is fisheries, and so on and so forth. Now, then we have the land where we have to do agriculture. I don't think there is anything lacking in that, whether it is land or water, or in fact, we've been spoiled by having rains and sunshine, and in a mix that enables agriculture to thrive. And maybe that's why people took agriculture for granted in the past on our continent. But I think, as I said, we are waking up to this fact that we need to invest ourselves more into agriculture. Everything is available. It's a source of food. We need the food systems have to develop, have to grow. That's the future. That's the world over. And then, as a source of business, we have seen how people can thrive on that. Now people are going to start producing, or have been doing so for many years, for export. People can feed themselves and then be able to feed others through that trade and business interaction. That is a great thing to do. And it ties in with the climate change issues, how we take care of these challenges of climate. In a nutshell, the world has come to wake up, and therefore Africa has not been left behind. And I think we are seeing a momentum which we should encourage, and therefore be able to do that. So the point of DRC, what was it?
It was just that when you talked about it briefly at the UN General Assembly, because we're talking about the ease of access, right? And the way that we can, do business between each other as countries.
Yeah.
For example, even taxes. You talked about the issue of Eastern DRC having to reduce their taxes because of the level of instability there is, So those kind of hindrances on our continent, whether it's political, whatever the case might be, there are those challenges.
Yeah.
So it was just to highlight what you had mentioned, but I think you have answered the question,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but that is anyway the whole thing. And now that we have the African Continental Free Trade Area in place, I mean, really, we have to be dealing with the production, productivity, then we have the markets, and then the African Continental Free Trade Area is the biggest free trade area. Now it has become the biggest in the world. So all these are opportunities for us, for the young people, to now switch their minds to something that initially had not been so important, but is more important now than almost anything else. And that is agriculture, and now the market through which we can do any trade that is linking with agriculture or anything else is there for us to benefit from.
Sure.
So I don't see really the difficulty, and if the young people tune their mind the correct way and look at all these opportunities available to us, which even touch our own lives, but also touch other people's lives elsewhere, and in between there is a lot of money to make. So what is it that they were waiting for?
Right. Thank you. Thank you very much, Your Excellency. We had a second question. I don't know, Honorable Babazi, if you want to try and take that one from our brother who was speaking in French. We want to make sure that we address all the questions, or maybe Mr. Gomera, did you catch some of it? Okay, what we can do for now is we can look at the one that came last from the lady from Zambia, and we can look at how we can foster integrational dialogue, how young people can begin to put trust in institutions, and how we can be looking forward to succession. How are today's leaders setting up young people for that? I'll come to you, Deputy President.
Thank you very much. That's a very good question and a very good insight. The young population constitutes 60% of the population, as she has rightly put it. This 60% can influence and have any decision made anywhere in the world. As I said in my address, it's upon our young people to take the lead and the initiative to assert themselves and influence policy. Policy is lobbied, it is influenced through advocacy and through lobbying. We want to encourage our young people not just sit as bystanders at home. And as I said, I want once more to encourage our young people to seek for opportunities to provide leadership. And most of these positions are elective. And with the 60% of the population, our young people have no excuse at all not to occupy any position they desire anywhere in the world. They have the numbers. It's simply for them to put their act together and decide what areas they want to have influence, and then have a very pragmatic engagement with their peers of that particular age and seek for those positions, and applying the superiority of numerical advantage, take over the positions and influence policy. And we need to lobby governments in Africa to create a regulatory framework that is friendly for young people who have no experience, who have no capital, to be able to get into the business world, to be able to be active participants of the economy. But that will be done through lobbying and influencing policy. But that cannot be done if our young people are not organized and are not determined. And I want to tell the participants in this conference, nobody will come for you at home and give you a position. You have to leave home and go and look for it. And please, don't believe that story that you are the leaders of tomorrow. No. Why do you want to be the leaders of tomorrow? Be the leaders of today. Anybody above the age of 18 is an adult for every practical purpose. So why would somebody be telling you when you are 25 years that you are the leader of tomorrow? The young people between the age of 18 and 35 are the leaders of today. Please, please, let the people of President Kagame's generation and my generation not confuse you and cheat you that you are the leaders of tomorrow. You have the energy, you have the brains, you have the creativity, you have the numbers. Please get your act together, and once more I ask you, take your rightful place in the decision-making table.
Love it. Thank you so much. We are the leaders of today, not tomorrow, right? I believe we have some football legends in the house today. Where are they? The football legends. This way?